I mean, yesterday at the Masters was spectacular, right? Masters Sunday, one of the best days on the sports calendar, and yesterday was as good as it gets. The drama, the twisted turns, Rory finally winning, capturing history, getting the Grand Slam, and now we turn the page to the PGA Championship. And now that Rory has won the Masters, he is co-favorite with Scottie Scheffler to win the PGA Championship at plus 500. The PGA is going to be at Quail Hollow Country Club, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that might be Rory's best course. He's won there 4 times. They pretty much play there every single year on the PGA Tour for the Wells Fargo Championship. So this is going to be like a Torrey Pines type major, the Pebble Beach type major, where these guys play this course every year. But obviously, with it being a major championship, they're going to make it a lot more difficult. Rory finished 22nd when they played here back in 2017. But look, we talked about it all week last week for the Masters, right? Didn't want to bet Rory at plus 650. Loved him top 10. Didn't want to bet him at plus 650. He was 12-1 after he shot an even par in the first round. And that was the number to get Rory at 12-1. Didn't want him at plus 650, but you double those odds. The way that he had played, a couple of bad breaks with the double bogeys, and then he obviously shoots that 6 under on Friday, goes on to win the tournament. But now, I think Rory is super dangerous. And I think I'd come back and bet him at plus 500. Rory winning the Masters is obviously incredible for the history of golf and him capturing the career Grand Slam. But what that does for the rest of Rory's season and what that does for the rest of his career, I don't think can be understated. It reminds me a lot of Xander Schauffele, what he did last year, right? Xander's been this incredible golfer. Obviously, he doesn't have the resume that Rory does, but Xander's an incredible talent, but he hadn't been able to seal the deal at a major, right? He hadn't been able to close the door. He hadn't been able to finish strong. He finally won the PGA. He finally got that monkey off his back. And then what did Xander do? A couple months later, he turned around and won the Open Championship. Even though Rory had won 4 majors before yesterday, he had to remember, he had to feel what it was like to win a major again. So many times we have seen him recently choke or collapse down the stretch and not be able to seal the deal. And we thought yesterday for a while there it was looking like that was going to happen again. But for Rory to finally win the Masters, win the Grand Slam, get that monkey off his back, I think it's kind of scary for the rest of the PGA Tour, for the LIV, all the guys that are going to be playing in these majors. Because now Rory's got no pressure on him. He's won all the majors, and he finally has won at the Masters. And with the way that the rest of the majors line up this season, with him playing at Quail Hollow, which is probably his best course, the U.S. Open's at Oakmont, which is maybe the most difficult course in the country, and the best players are probably going to separate themselves. And then the Open Championship is at Portrush this year, which is in his home country in Northern Ireland. So could be a massive year for Rory. And I know we're all caught up in how great the Masters was and how historic that victory was yesterday. But I'm looking at these majors upcoming and the potential for what Rory could do this season. And it starts at Quail Hollow with him being plus 500 to win the PGA Championship. And I think you got to have a piece of that with Rory at the PGA. I also think you have to bet Bryson at 14-1 to win the PGA as well. Bryson is the new Brooks Koepka in golf. And what that means is that whenever there's a major championship, Bryson DeChambeau is your free space. You got to bet him. Top 10, top 5, you got to bet him to win. He has proven more than enough now here over the last 12 months, 14 months, that when the majors roll around, Bryson is going to be in contention. We obviously saw him win the U.S. Open. He lost to Xander by a shot at the PGA Championship. He was in the final group yesterday at the Masters. He's the new Brooks Koepka. Bryson is going to be contention at all these majors. Maybe not the Open Championship just because of links golf, his style of play, obviously how far he bombs it off the tee, playing in the wind and the conditions. Maybe not quite the Open, but certainly the Masters, the PGA, and the U.S. Open. I think Bryson is a must-bet in all of those tournaments. Ludwig, I mean, if you watch the guy play, one of the smoothest swings in golf, just a cool operator out there. He's going to win a major not too in the near future, and it might be in the next major, the PGA Championship. So I think Ludwig at 14-1 is a good look. Colin Morikawa at 20-1. How about Colin was 14-1 to win the Masters, and now he's 20-1? I know Colin really wasn't in contention to win the tournament, but the guy's played in 6 events this year, and he hasn't finished worse than 17th. You know, he didn't play terrible. He just really wasn't in contention to win the tournament. Quail Hollow is a ball striker's golf course. You got to hit it long and you got to hit it straight. Sounds like Colin Morikawa to me. So 20-1, I think Colin's a good look. And then 4 longer shots that I would look at. Corey Connors at 50-1. We loved Corey Connors this past week. Top Canadian, top 20 finish. Man, is he a good ball striker. He is so accurate, and that's what you need when you're playing at Quail Hollow. I think Corey Connors coming right back with him at 50-1 is a really good look. Some kind of long shot wild card guys that I would look at, Will Zalatoris and Wyndham Clark at 50-1. If they have the right week and everything comes together, the way that those guys' games line up with that course, I think they could do some damage. So Willie Z, Wyndham Clark, 2 guys that I'm monitoring at 50-1. And then how about Max Homa at 66-1? I'd keep an eye on Max. He was a T8 here last season. He's won the Wells Fargo Championship in the past. And he reminds me a lot of Morikawa from last season, where Colin, if you remember, was terrible at the early part of last year, went to the Masters, played really well, and that kind of springboarded him the rest of the year. Kind of feels like Homa to me, who's been awful this entire season, goes to Augusta, plays great, and now that might be kind of the turning point that Homa needs in his season. He's got good track record here. 66-1 is a pretty good price. But again, Rory DeChambeau, those are probably the leaders that I would look at. Then some longer shots, Corey Connors, Max Homa, Willie Z, Wyndham Clark, some guys that I like as well.